Yes. Okay. As-Salamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Ahmaduhu wa asta'inuhu wa astadihi wa astaghfiruhu wa umminu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuruhu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Arsalahu bil huda wa dinil haqq liyudhhirahu ala din kulihi wallahu karihal mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. And this way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd, fa inna asdiqal hadith kitabullah wa awtaqa al-ura kalimatul taqwa wa khayrul milali milatu Ibrahim wa khayrul sunani sunatu Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ashraful hadith dhikrullah wa asnu al-qasasi hadha al-Qur'an wa khayrul umuri awazzimuha wa shayrul umuri muhdatatuha wa asnu al-hadyu hadyu al-anbiya wa ashraful maut katulu shuhada wa amma al-amma dalalatul ba'da al-huda wa khayrul amali ma nafa'a wa khayrul hadi ma uzba'a wa shayrul amma al-kalb. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the most truthful of discourses is kitabullah. The most trustworthy word is taqwa, or the fear of Allah. Best of the community is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The worst acts are those based on innovation. Best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. Best acts are ones that yield benefits. Best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. The upper hand is better than the lower one. The less which can meet one's needs is better than the more which can cause neglectfulness. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah yahmuru bil-adli wal-ihsani wa ita'i dhil-qurba wa yanha dhil-fashai wal-munkari wal-baghi ya'idukum la'alakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, the doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. فَمَنْ يُرِيدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. Those whom Allah in His plan willeth to guide, He opens their breast to Islam. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. O you who believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in a state of Islam. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ. And hold fast all together by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided amongst yourselves. كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. You are the best of peoples, evolved for mankind, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing in Allah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairil mursaleen. Muhammadin al-Nabi al-Ummi. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ijma'in. Amma ba'd. يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لقيتم فية واثبتوا واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وأطيعوا الله ورسوله ولا تنزعوا فتفشلوا وتذهب ريحكم واصبروا إن الله مع الصابرين. O you believe, when you meet a force, be firm and call Allah in remembrance much and often, that you may prosper. Obey Allah and obey the Messenger, and fall into no disputes, lest you lose heart and your power depart. And be patient and persevere, for Allah is with those who patiently persevere. It's not a secret today that there is a global struggle against Islam. in each and every part of the world. And all the Muslims are under one type of attack or another. It's not only the Rohingya, right, who have to escape Burma and suffer village burnings, rapings, killings, and murders, right? It's not only Muslims, the Uyghurs in China, who are going to re-educational camps, right, to try to teach the Islam out of the Muslims of China. It's not only in Syria, where there's a global fitna against the people of Syria. It's not only Iraq, who has suffered a war and there's still a war environment. It's not only Afghanistan, where there's an 17-year war continuous up to today against the Muslims. But it's also in countries that you think they'll tell you that in so-called Saudi Arabia, Jaziratul Arab, they'll tell you that the king of Saudi Arabia is the Qadim al-Haramain, the protector of the two holy shrines, when in reality they are stooges for the West. They're a criminal organization. They are now and they always have been. Ever since the time of their father and now grandfather, Abdul-Aziz ibn Saud, the great Fitnah of the modern times. This is where the name Saudi Arabia comes from, and they have no right to technically call it Saudi Arabia. It's always been known as Jaziratul Arab. Okay, so now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give guidance to us from many directions. But in case we read the Quran kind of regularly, we can come up with some direct guidance where, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, that means you and I, those who believe. It's not Ya ayyuha an-nas, O you people, O mankind. It's Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. That means for the people who are believers, it is a direct address to you and I. So it says, oh, you believe when you meet a force. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, idha lakitum fiyatan. Fiyatan is a group of people. When you meet this group of people, right, that this word tabatha means firmness, discipline, self-control. It means to remain firm in whatever it is you're doing. So now we're being told by Allah, when we see this group, this global fitna out to kill and destroy Islam, then it's telling you and I to have a certain attitude, a certain character, to stay firm and to have backbone and to have courage and to have discipline, right? And then it goes on to say, it talks about, and remember Allah much. وَاذْكُرُوا كَثِيرًا. That means remember Allah much. The dhikr of Allah is technically, in this case, the most important thing, because you will probably see the forces would tend to overwhelm you. If you would see what we're dealing with in its global perspective, you would think there is no way out for you and I but submission and cooperation with disbelief, or listening to and following the we don't want to call them munafiqs, we don't want to call them any names, those Muslims that adhere to and fear men more than they adhere to or fear Allah. This is what it seems that's going on, because we have many powerful entities in our region, including Saudi Arabia, that has wealth. It could have an effect on the West. And also great countries like Egypt. But it decided to make a so-called treaty with the Zionists. And now you have Saudis, Egyptians, and the whole Middle Eastern region cooperating with the Zionist usurpers of Palestine right now today. It's happening on the news, it's happening in the books, it's happening everywhere. We can see this is going on, but so what is it saying for you and I? Oh, you believe when you meet a force, be firm and call Allah in remembrance much and often, that you may prosper. La'alakum tuflihun. Tuflihun falah, like hayal as-salah, hayal al-falah. If you want to become successful, right, you stay firm in what you're doing. You call on Allah much, right? This is what it is telling us. Because the remembrance of Allah, right, is evidently the most important aspect of this whole thing. But it's put unity, discipline, self-control is even put first. Why? Because it's assumed who is addressed to. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, oh, you believe. It is assumed, right, that you're going to stay firm, disciplined, and united. And whenever stuff get out of hand, you're going to call on Allah often and much, that you may prosper. Then it goes on to say, wa atiullah wa rasuluhu. Obey Allah and obey the messenger. Wa atiullah wa rasuluhu wa la tanazzahu. And fall into no disputes. Don't get hung up in fiqh issues. Don't get hung up in whether you wipe your foot or wash your foot. Don't get hung up in that. Don't get hung up whether you pray with your hands down or you pray with them like this. Don't get hung up in that. Don't let nobody slip up on you and cause fitnah and disunity amongst the Muslims. Because if you do, you are a classified dummy. That you're allowing somebody, that includes Saudi Arabia. If Saudi Arabia have funded schools and madrasas all over the world for the last 40 years, and in those schools they've produced only Deobandi fitnah, people who are concerned with how you brush your teeth with a miswak, right? More important than that, than the death and destruction of Muslims. If that wasn't true, the Muslims would not stand for Saudi Arabia to bomb and murder and kill the people of Yemen right now. The most heinous crime that's going on the world scene right today, and it's been going on, and ain't nobody got nothing to say about it. The Muslims don't have nothing to say about it, but we're going to go on. Obey Allah, obey the messenger, and fall into no disputes. فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ. And lose not heart, and your power depart. Rihum is their wind. If you fall into disputes and arguments, the wind, the power will go out of your, they used to say the wind will go out of your sails. That's what happened. That's what it meant in those days. If you fall into disputes, your power will depart. It will go away. Wasfiru, Inna Allaha ma'as-sabirin. Be patient and persevering, for Allah is with those who patiently persevere. So that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do. And then Allah gives us the hidayah and the guidance. I just want to spend a few minutes, because I know you're surprised. I keep telling you I'm headed back to California and I'll be gone in a minute. But then we leave when we get ready. You know why? Because we're not on nobody's schedule. Now I know it's hard to picture that, but just picture that you live on your own schedule. And you don't have to do nothing or be nowhere that nobody done told you you got to be there, right? That's rare. Because most of us, if we got a job, we got to be on that job at a certain time, right? Certain days, right? If we got bills coming our way, well, we all have to pay our bills. But you got to pay them by a certain date or you finished, right? You'll be sitting up in the dark. You'll be freezing to death in the winter and burning up in the summer. No air conditioning, no heating, no nothing. So there are obligations that we're surrounded by. But I want to talk just a few minutes, because we will eventually be headed out that way. But I want to tell you what we're going to do. That's not what we're going to do. I want to tell you about our niyyah, our intention. Because nobody can say, now, when we get out there, we're going to do this. Now, we can say, this is our niyyah to do such and such, inshallah. So we have our niyyah, our intention. This intention that we have right now has been going on a long time. It ain't no new intention. We didn't just arrive here a few months ago or a few years ago. We've been in a struggle that we've been in for a long time. Could you turn the heat down just a little bit? I don't want to burn up, but I don't want to freeze nobody either. Just a little bit. And if it happens to be getting cold, you can turn it up again, but yet just pull it down a little bit. So we have our niyyah. It's our intention. Now, we had a certain intention when we came here to D.C. It was in 1989. It was the summer. In fact, it was June 23rd, 1989. We had went through a lot of things in California. And we realized what struggle we was going to, and it was going to be a long struggle. We had acquired our knowledge of our region and everything related to our historical process. From being in Oakland, California, and surviving all of the Oakland Police Department, the FBI, and everybody related to the Black Panther Party and every other group in Oakland, right, at that time. We had acquired, along with being in exile and dealing with colonialism, living in Africa, being in Europe for a while, that we had gained a global vision of what this struggle was about, what we was going to have to deal with. Now, we had fitna after fitna. I remember by 1986, well, we talk about encirclement and suppression a lot. We have been encircled and suppressed over and over again. So when we figured out how, it's all right, it just went off. It just kicked up. So if it's there, that's a good place to be. But back to our rendition. By 1989, we had went through fitna after Black nationalist fitna, the civil rights fitna from even back in the early 60s, the Black nationalist fitna of the mid and late 60s, and then the crushing of the movement, the full-fledged hammer of the American government and everything that goes along with it. It was successful. It was successful because of a certain reason. It was not because of the cowardness of the people. You know what the main reason was? Well, there's two main reasons. Number one, the Negro was a Negro. This is a problem for movement. Because if you want to do good, if you got men and women, in those days the women were supposed to be subservient to the men, that means the niggas is in rebellion, leading the rebellion is going to spend more time chasing the women than they are chasing the white man. It's normal, right? And when that's the problem, a part of the movement, the white man going to send tons, bucket loads of women into the movement, right? And those women are going to romance you and start arguments between this brother and that brother. They're going to be tenders now. He ain't going to send no bears in there, no big old ugly women. He's going to send tenders. And euros now. It ain't euro. White girls ain't nothing nowadays, but back in those days, tell the truth, that was a special event. Little Peckerwood girls was a big deal. If you start lying, you'll be off base. Therefore, you remember this admonition? Fall into no disputes, or the wind will go out of your sails, your power will depart. So, the first thing is, them Negroes is moving with unity, organization, discipline in a certain way. But now we done sent plenty of girls in there, right? So now that's disrupted their unity, right? And the other thing, the main thing is the governments have hundreds and thousands of years of dealing with rebellion, right? The Quran, Musa, everybody, right? It's just, they all dealt with rebellion the same way. So all governments knew how to deal with insurrection. And now the FBI, by the time O.J. Edgar Hoover took over, he joined up, he started the thing. Back in the early 1900s, do you know his first thing was Marcus Garvey? Can you imagine? Was the bringing down, before it was even the FBI, they brought down Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey had 3 million people in his movement. In the 1920s, discipline, organization, vision, and they knocked him out just like that. Why did they knock him out? Because, well, Marcus Garvey, do you know when Marcus Garvey died? He died in 1940 over in Europe. Little things they did to him. After they sent him to the penitentiary here, and they let him go, he went down back to Jamaica, and the kids followed him around and threw stuff at him and made fun of him. Now, he didn't know that those was police kids, that the police paid them to make fun of the great hero. He thought, they just don't like me. I'm going to Europe. He went to Europe, and he wrote an article in 1940 appeared in the newspaper over there that said Marcus Garvey died. He was that afternoon or the next day he died. He wasn't aware of psychological warfare, right? Now the Negroes in Oakland, what was their problem? They did not have the experience where there was D.C. D.C. was rebellious. Shoot, D.C. had burned down the whole town down that way, right? So people wasn't cowards here, but they didn't have the skill to deal with the government. The government were decades ahead of them. So when the government ran their fitnah, and they didn't have no guidance from Quran, we was Negroes. In Jahiliyyah, when the white man jumped on our case and we wasn't no true Muslims, we had to leave the country. And it was elementary stuff they was, well, they ain't elementary, they're elementary now. They wasn't elementary then. The white man ran Negroes crazy, right? Took all their money, and then after that, they dropped heroin on the Negro. If you want to study the 10 most heroin-infected cities in the 1970s and 80s, all you had to do was study who was the most rebellious in the 1960s. Detroit, well known for heroin addiction, isn't that right? D.C., heroin addiction. Oakland, California, technically it's a small town. It's only 400,000 people there. How could it become the heroin distribution center of the U.S.? How could you have rebellion in 68, rebellion in 69, and pacification in 1970, and finish with the rebellion in 1971, and Superfly comes out in 1972, and there's no more rebellion, right? All over. In all the books you read, I don't know if y'all remember, Downgoings, Iceberg Slim, y'all remember that crap? When I got back here, and I was in county jail, they sent me up to McNeil Island, federal penitentiary up in the state of Washington, kind of like Alcatraz. And they'd stop you through all them county jails. When I got to San Francisco, that's like my hometown from Oakland across the bay, all the books they had, not one book on revolution, or not even a book on personal improvement or motivation. All they had was Downgoings and Iceberg Slim. And they just made Superfly the year before, then they made Superfly TNT, then they made the Mac. Right? What was niggas doing? The revolution, gone. Rebellion, gone. I'm telling you, look at the little nickel and dime stuff they used on us and just sent the rebellion away. Just with a few movies. Iceberg Slim. Now, a lot of people think Iceberg Slim them was real pimps. But you know, they got, just like they got snitches and phony dope dealers, they got phony pimps too. And that stuff Iceberg Slim was talking about in the book, the real pimps didn't do that. All the homeboys is my homeboys. Fillmore Slim, them, and all of them is my homeboys. The Ward brothers. They talking about put a wet towel and whooped a coat hanger and whipped a woman between her legs, crap like that. My best friends was pimped. I said, y'all do that stuff? And it's a waste of time. How you gonna be whooping somebody with a thing and the people you selling a body, they'll pull up a dress and she got webs and wax all on her. Who gonna wanna pay? You see, but the niggas didn't know no better. Getting back from Vietnam, and they putting that Negro stuff on the movies, that's the big time, and they wanted to be that. That's how simple they destroyed the rebellion. Now we got all that game, we come back, finally we opened a Masjid in 1980. We got a little bit of game. I mean, we've been in and out of all the different groups and everything. So everything they threw at us, we survived. By 1986, we done survived everything the government can throw at you. Why? Because we're Muslim. And the government come to the masjid and they said, look, Big Hank, Your dream was to unify all the dope dealers in America, the black ones, and do this, that, and another. You can have that now. You're trying to build another masjid? Look how long it take you to go around with a box begging for money. Why, at the front door, they got a basket full of dope for you. And at the back door, they got a nigga, not one of your old friends. Both of them old friends. The front door, man, you helped me get big. Now I'm having big money. This is for you. Then the nigga at that back door, your other old friend, man, you took care of me. Now you home. Hey, man, I need exactly what the nigga at the front door got. Right? That's your mean old rotten little nut. Now, if I wasn't a Muslim, what would I do? Of course, there ain't no halal and haram in the Jahiliyyah. Right? I would say, of course. And I would walk it right through the building, right to the back, and get paid and open up my social development institution, number 2 or 5. And the government would have me back on the string again. But now suppose you say, no man, I can't do that. I'm a Muslim now, man, you know. Man, Muslims stop you having money? I said, there's a different kind of money now. All money ain't good money. You remember that from Jahiliyyah? Yeah, but that meant, I said, that's right. Well, it means more. And so now you got God and you got Hidayah. This is what we didn't have in Jahiliyyah. We didn't have moral and ethical values. Can you imagine? There was no moral standard. Okay, if we're in a rebellion, I can't be messing with your woman. Because we're in a rebellion together, and plus it's wrong. Well, there wasn't no more. The Black Panther Party had no standard like that. And neither did the early Muslims. Remember the Muslims back in the 70s? Even coming in the 80s. The government want to cause Fitnah in the Masjid, they send in 3-4 cutie pies. First, the Imam, he tried to get all the girls, the women, right? They tried to get them all for himself. Then they'd make everybody mad at him. And then he'd try to figure out, he already got 3 wives in the city, how you gonna work this? So, oh yeah, you can be my, I get you, then you can be my concubine. Or right-hand possession. Niggas telling me when I even came here, man, how many right-hand possessions? I said, right-hand possession? He said, yeah, man, see if, I'm just right here in D.C. when I got here. So, see, it's a lady, a couple of ladies I'm taking care of. So, that make them my right-hand possessions, don't they? I said, no, I don't know if we do that stuff right now. Not what you're talking about. Well, I can be with her, because she's my right hand. I say, she ain't no right hand possession, left hand possession, or no other possession. You can either marry the lady or leave her alone. And what you doing hanging around with her anyway? Going to the house, you gotta go check on the kids, you know. Well, you got a telephone. Call over there and see if they fed. And then they asking me, wanted me to give them a fatwa. I said, man, I don't know what y'all talking about. I said, we don't do that in California. They had, I said, man, this D.C. is serious. Anyway, without a moral standard, it's hard to move forward, man, I'm telling you. Without ethics, akhlaq, it's hard to move forward. That was what they had on us. We didn't know nothing about it. We didn't know about morals. We didn't know about ethics. We heard about it, but we knew in your makeup, you know what's right and wrong. You know if this is your homeboy's woman. You already know that. Don't nobody have to tell you it's wrong to mess with. You know that. The Bible said, do unto others as you have. So you don't want nobody doing that to you, so why would you do that to somebody else? Now what happened was, by the time we gained the ethics, the government had infiltrated the groups so bad that when I came home, when we opened our masjid in Oakland in 1980, by 1981 we had visitors, tons of visitors from the East Coast. And by 82 we had a saying, because the guys would come in, they'd wear those. Now you got to remember, the Sunnah on the West Coast was newish. All they did out there was the Nation of Islam and stuff like that. There was only one African-American masjid on the Sunnah, was in LA in the late 70s, only one. And it was controlled by Saudi Arabia then and still is now. So we didn't have no real Sunnah. Now we was with the chief, but the chief was in transition. And the chief, boy, had the flying cockatrice. I'm glad y'all don't remember that stuff. And, you know, Sam's son, water gin, oxyl gin. Y'all ain't never heard of them kind of gins, huh? Well, the chief was busy at that time. I don't want to get into it. But see, they got different kind of gins. This is a teacher. Don't pay no attention now. They got hydrogens, that's a water gin, and they got oxygens, that's air gin. Y'all never read the teachings of the chief, huh? Y'all never got into that. You guys is lucky, because you had to be really, that's bad as the Lamb. And the 24 scientists and the Yaqub history. Hey man, the chief hadn't come all the way to the Sunnah till up in the 80s. So anyway, so even then, we didn't have guidance. By the time we got to some Islam, the Islamic movement was flooded with tattletales and stooges, and it was almost too late. So we survived in Oakland. Finally, we said, well, I'd been here to D.C. to give a few talks. I said, boy, D.C. is really live. So I said, I'm going to move to D.C. If I can last 5 years, I get all the game, I'll be the sharpest nigga in the world on Islam. No, ask anybody. I gave lectures. I said that in the lectures. If I can last 5 years here, I'm going to be the baddest nigga in the United States. That's a Muslim. A Muslim, by the way. Man, getting here to D.C., I ain't gonna even tell you the stuff that unleashed, but we'd already got the game, so they throwed everything but the kitchen sink, and we just kept right on rolling. Here it is. Next year it'll be 30 years in D.C. And with all that fitnah, you got to remember, okay, it's a handful of people here, right? But according to the white man, it shouldn't be nobody here. It shouldn't be no masjid here. Technically, this is the biggest masjid. This is bigger than Masjid Muhammad, right? This is bigger. We own it, the place. This house there, house down there, house right there. We all own that property around the corner, right? We own. Can you imagine? We pay taxes on 8 pieces of property that we own. So, to us, that's a success. You might say, yeah, man, but they stopped your progress. Yeah, they may slow you down, and you may be paying taxes on half your properties and you don't even use, but you still have it. Because you bought them cash like you should have. Why? Because you knew that you're going to have trouble here. And just like now it's a handful of people, there were times, just like in Oakland, when people, the little masjid around the corner, people was hanging out of the windows. I don't know how all them people got it. Cars parked all up and down the street. Same thing here. Do y'all remember all the demonstrations 10, 15 years ago all downtown for Palestine, for everybody? If you turn on the TV, you'll see us there. All of a sudden, nothing happened. What happened? too much of a story to go through all of what happened, but it don't make no difference. We're still here. We're not mad at nobody. We're not broke, right? We're not crazy. We're not going to try to challenge the system physically. None of that. That's all a blessing from Allah. Now I'm going to, with that in mind, I'm going to try to speed up and tell you what our need is when we go to Oakland. Okay, first, there's a legal aspect. All the fitnah that's going on in Oakland, we have dealt with it properly. And with all the challenges, we had a certain thing that we had to do or wanted to do. Gandhi called it making injustice visible. Injustice visible. In other words, we have to show the people all of the fitnah that the government does to people and show them how to deal with it, and to show them they can not only survive but thrive. Okay, we're going to Oakland right now because with certain strategic abilities, which are not new, we've been exhibiting that all the time. But our niyyah on one legal area will sue the government for 25 million, excuse me, 25 million. You said that's a lot of money. It's not a lot of money. They done stole that much money from us and diverted that much money in the last 30 years, 38 years. 1980, they done caused a lot of trouble. Technically, they owe that. If we get 25 million, we might boost it up to 50 million. All kind of civil rights violations and all that. That is no problem. So that we're going to court with that. That's litigation when we get there. And everybody's seeing it firsthand, and nobody responding, right? People's coming with guns to the masjid, no response. People, the government turning your bank accounts over to a crack pot. All of those things you can't do. So automatically, all that things are recorded. In fact, I listened to one of the reasons I stayed today. I listened to one of our CDs from a deposition we took about 5 years ago. Yeah, 4 years, 40. We took a deposition and we listened to it. Why? Because we've been arranging this for almost 20 years. Where we are right now, we've been arranging it. It's called strategic management under conditions of repression. What is strategic management? Well, if you was reading a lot of our literature, there's probably a 35-page article on strategic management under conditions of repression. But strategic management, first, is scanning your environment. Situational analysis. Recognize and recalling history and behavior patterns of those around you, particularly your enemy. Monitoring and evaluating strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. After you've done that, it's a strategic analysis. They call it scanning your environment. Then number 2, strategy formulation. After you've scanned your environment, you've studied the history, the patterns of behavior of your enemy and your people. And you study all of their links that they have internally and externally, and how each agency within the government have behaved during your lifetime and as far back as you can study. It's like a research that you're doing. It's not haphazard. Strategy formula, after you've done all of that, then You have to have a mission, your reason for existing, your goals, steps to be accomplished in working toward the mission. Objectives and policies, broad guidelines for decision making. Everybody's good at that. All organizations are good at making a plan as they go. But the third stage is the one where everybody falls down, or most people. Strategy implementation includes programs, activities needed to accomplish the overall plan, budgets, meeting the costs related to those programs. 3, procedures, sequences of steps needed to do the job. Strategy implementation is where most people fall off. Everybody's good at an action plan, right? Everybody's good at making a little evaluation and study, but it falls down with implementation, doing it. After you implement your plan, evaluation and control, monitoring your performance and taking corrective actions, studying yourself, how have we done? Personal analysis, how am I doing? How is my attitude? How is my health? How is my religion? Right? Am I hopeful? Do I have positive expectations? You got to look at yourself in relationship to your ideology, which is Islam. You have to look at it. Right? You have to look at yourself and you have to look at everything. How have we performed? Boss man and threw everything at us with the kitchen sink. And he's failed miserably. He even accomplished his goals. He started a masjid, a research center, whatever they call it, around the corner. Everybody from here goes over there. If we have somebody we help to come out of prison, they sit here for a couple of years, get the game, they pack up whatever they can carry, we walk around the corner, and they pop up, and whether the little foreigners or whoever they tell, they go over there, right? In Oakland, we have East Oakland, and you go back 10, 15, 20 years ago, school, masjid, property, all activity in Oakland, Islamic activity is in East Oakland. When you go down the street, we got property on this side of the street, that side of the street, all up and down the street, paid for. But then you have people there who are leading it, who will let a half a block of property sit for 10 years. What happens to property if it's set 10 years? No upkeep, no use. The roofs fall in, it collapses. Then when the police blow the whistle, they all leave. And they blame it on you. Just like here in D.C., everybody pack up and go. The police blow the whistle, and they blame it on the dictator, old Imam Musa, always running around, getting in people's business and everything. Of course, everybody here, they faces all puffed up from eating good food. They like tell the truth. You don't get no treatment like this nowhere else. You ain't got no imam. One of the imams come back and he saw me. Oh, people, when we had the program and the foreigners came, you know, we had 3 busloads of people. It was a demonstration. So we had the food prepared for them. And they was sitting there looking. And then the island was sitting over here. And everybody would go get food and what do you like? And I go places, I said, you don't need to get me no food. I can get up and get my own food. Well, you get it the first of the line. And do you want that? I said, and then they said, do you do this all the time? You know, serving food. I said, yeah. They said, you didn't cook the food too, did you? I said, yeah. So we fed 3 busloads of people. And they was just shocked. The imam across town was over here one time. He asked 2 fell something. Brother Tufel said, no, we do this all the time. He said, when you come here talking about, I want to help the movement, the Imam give you a broom first. Say you want to, yeah. Niggas want to stand up and just run their mouth and talk about the sunnah and everything and don't want to do no work. Those people go to school to study Islam. They're all employees. They're employees. They go to school just like you go to school to be a computer guy. You go to a computer joint, they say, we'll take you. You got a good degree. You go to school, whether Sunni or Shia, and them guys don't hustle no money. All they know is all the rituals. They have everybody crying, doing Muharram and all of that stuff. You know, and coming up soon, it'll be doing Ashura and all them days. They done studied Islam. We don't do that here. You gotta hustle. Everything you selling books, selling oil, sweeping up, digging around there, painting. That's the difference. That's why we're independent. It is the greatest thing in the world to be independent. You get out of line in any masjid, they'll have you be out on your behind right away. Because you said something about, think of somebody in any big masjid say something about Saudi Arabia. You ever been there and they say anything about Saudi? No matter what they do. Have they? They ain't got nothing to say. Why? They'll be out on their bottom. Right? And then, this part right here, evaluation and control. You evaluate yourself. You evaluate your work. And then you go back to the beginning. And that is a cycle of strategic management in life. Situation analysis, scanning your environment. Strategy formulation, strategy implementation, evaluation and control. Studying yourself. You have to be real. If you got weaknesses, just say, I got to tighten that up. You're not a bad guy for having weaknesses. If you didn't have no weaknesses, you would be angelic. Can you imagine a Negro angel? Wouldn't that be something? To see a Negro angel? I know you've been praying, but you ain't seen one yet, and you may not see one during this lifetime. A Negro angel, that means they don't have no faults and don't mess up every time you holler at him, he's messing it up. Right? It's more normal. He's a good Negro, Imam. And unless he studied in school, have you heard? I don't want to get into it. I swore I wasn't going to divert, so let me get back to what I was talking. Why are we going to Oakland? We're going to Oakland right now. It's already arranged. We won our little cases in court before. That the real goal, you know, in court and the Constitution, you have the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, right? You have a right to bear arms. Is that right to bear arms against your neighbor or to bear arms against the government? Keep them from getting out of line. Which is it? It is to bear arms to keep the government straight. Isn't that right? Everybody knows that. But don't nobody say that. And why they killing all these little kids in this school and that school and blowing up this and that? Why? To make everybody say all these guns in the society. They've had guns in America since day one. When we grew up, guns everywhere. The people used to ride down the street 2 decades ago and you had your gun in your window. Y'all remember the pickup truck? The pickup truck, the cracker would have his rifle, probably with a scope on it and a shotgun. And niggas could do it too. You just drove around the street. Guns was nothing. Everybody had guns. You may not believe it. In 57 or 58, I was in reform school. They called it Frico Ranch School for Boys. In the summer, we went up to the mountains. They had a summer camp. We would go there just when all the rich white folks would leave, then they would let us go in. We regular in regular reform school. So we had swimming and hiking and all of that stuff. And you know what? Weapons training in jail. Because in the camp, they teach everybody, remember the little rifles, the 22s? We in jail, and they're quiet because America's mind was everybody deserves a gun. What's wrong with guns? Ain't nobody even thought about something wrong. And, oh, they know where the guns was. How did your friend look get killed at 8 or 9 years old? He found his daddy's gun, right? We all lost a friend like that. And the dummies playing with guns. They shoot little black kids for having guns, right? What was the Christmas thing you bought? And it was good if you had 2 guns. All the kids had guns everywhere. And by the 60s, the guns looked real. Now they're killing little black. You've just got a BB gun. Everybody had a BB gun. A BB gun, a 22. All young boys got a 22 rifle. Then y'all, I know y'all city folks, right? But didn't y'all get 22 rifles? Didn't you shoot all the birds while there ain't no birds now? Little niggas shooting all the birds in every tree. I sit there and just pop them. I didn't have no sense. I didn't know that we didn't shoot the poor birds. But all we did was shoot pow, pow, with the BB guns. Or my father would sit on the porch in Oakland because he's from the country. You know, y'all got to see squirrels running around. We was from the country. My father believed because you went squirrel hunting, coon hunting, and all that, right? In the country, he'd sit there on the porch. They had a big tree and some big. He would shoot them squirrels for dinner. She talking about feeding a squirrel. You shoot a squirrel to eat. So it wouldn't be no squirrels. You see these little squirrels running around here. If our father was still alive and living in D.C., it wouldn't be no squirrels running around. Because he's from the country. You shoot squirrels to eat. Guns is a guarantee you're an American citizen. Don't give that up. The government is going down and it's in bad shape, so they want to get your guns. And the people that's dying the most now, opiates and heroin, is white men, isn't that right? Tell the truth. White men. Between 25 and 40. They're dying like flies. They dying quicker. I have to turn the radio off. Kojo Nambi having programs, public radio, TV, opiates. And the white folks are slow and silly. Right? The young white man between 25 and 50, that's what the article said, he is the target of opiates. He's the target. Why? They don't have nothing else for him to do. And he's the one who's got all the guns. And he's the one getting mad. Because they ain't got this like that. They have nothing else for the niggas to do. Well, let's load them up in the penitentiary. They know I can't put all the white folks in the penitentiary. So the white man is targeted with opiates. So much so, some cities don't hardly have no heroin. If you was a heroin dealer, imagine how mean that is. A good old Negro heroin dealer now, everybody buying Oxycontin and whatever all that stuff is. And some of the white folks, I was listening just yesterday, Kojo Nambi show. The white folks, they got all these things right around, in Anne Arundel County they was talking about. I don't know, I think it's a lot of middle class folk, wherever Anne Arundel County is, way up that way, somewhere. So, the people getting so high now, you know, Negroes didn't have Narcan. When you OD'd as a Negro, you just died, right? They throw you out on the street in their garbage can. The white folks now, they got Narcan. You OD, and they bring you right back. Some white folks been brought back 10 times. And you know what the white folks said yesterday? I was listening to it. They said, one guy, he said, yeah, they brought me back and they brought me down. He was mad because they blew his high. Y'all brought me back with that stuff and it brought me down because the Narcan mess up your high. Hey, man. And here's the Negro trying to help white folks. You know why we're trying to help them? Because they're trying to get rid of the white man that will be, he ain't worried about the Negro. He ain't gonna shoot nobody with each other. But patriot groups and all these white folks is getting mad. And they put Donald Trump in to tell him that it's the Negroes and the Mexicans that's the problem, right? But how many Negroes sent a company over to China or anywhere? Did any of y'all send anybody? Not one. It was the big white folks. Now they don't have no more, nothing for that white man that's got all them guns. I went to, over in Baltimore, at the auditorium, whatever that was, it was a gun show. White folks and guns. It was 3 or 4 pole crackers at the pole, white folks. They was pushing a cart with ammunition. And it took 2 of them to push the cart. The ammunition was stacked up this high. You know, that's a lot of lead. That's why it was so heavy. The whole cart. Do you know how much one box of cartridges cost? That was 2 or 3 years' salary for them white boys. But they pushing all that away. Ain't no Negroes there, are there? Everybody white folks. Now imagine the lower middle class white men, all them white folks in West Virginia, Maryland is one of they just dropping like flies. And then, remember I used to go to the movie, who was the big hero? The white man from 25 to 50 years old, right? He was always a hero. Now, you go see Star Wars, who run off with the white girl? The Negro. How do you think that make him feel? The mountain between us. Who gets the white girl? The Negro. Now, that ain't even fair, to tell the truth. And you expect him not to be mad? That's why they bring in Trump to blame it on us, instead of them saying, wait a minute, the niggas ain't making them movies. In fact, the niggas have never did nothing to us. Even after slavery, the niggas didn't do nothing but sing songs. Right? The niggas never did nothing to where, so white folks ain't got absolutely no reason to be mad at me and you. But they don't let us go nowhere to tell the white folks nothing. We like you white folks, because when the bullets get to flying, them white boys can shoot. Now niggas can't shoot, most of them. You watch the movies, the niggas holding a pistol like that. You ever went to the pistol range and see a champion hold a pistol sideways? On all the movies, the niggas holding it. What is he doing? Holding it down to 20-something. He put a silence on it. The nigga put a potato on the end of it. Y'all remember that movie? What is that? The L.A. Negroes. This stuff they do to us is so ridiculous. And we do it. Right? So we got to get to these people and tell them we all right. Now, so that's what we've done in Oakland. That's why we're going to Oakland. We're going to Oakland. This goes right to courts. 2 trials right away. One, the civil liberties, civil rights. $25 million suit, maybe more. The Bank of America, another $25 million. Easy. You think that's a lot of money, but that ain't a lot of money. They steal all your money. The other thing is what we have already done. Everybody in the world knows. Don't play like the world don't know. This is not no local phenomenon. We carried on a global tradition. Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui, Majlis Ashura Islamiyya Free Britannica. I don't know if y'all remember that. That means the Muslim Parliament of Great Britain, 1992 on. He passed away in 96. All these people here, you got Zafar Bangash, Muhammad Al-Asi, Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui, yours truly. The only good guy on there besides me, I would say, is Yaqub Zaki. Edinburgh, Scotland, professor of history. If y'all think I'm lying, look at this program on the internet and see what Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui said about me. Anybody ever seen that? He said, this guy, Imam Musa, is the best thing since sliced bread. Anybody y'all ever seen that? He really said nice stuff. And right after that, everybody started cutting my throat. Everybody on here is supposed to be my homeboys. Praying in the street. You know what that is? That is a diversion from the rebellion. You can't have no rebellion out in the street. So the people that want to divert the movement, right, been out in the street for 30-something years, producing nothing. That's a slick way to divert. The only reason I know because everybody on here started cutting my throat. I said, man, why all my homeboys cutting my throat? We was all friends. Now they said, Imam Musa talking about you. At first you cut my throat for 10 years, I don't say nothing. Finally I said, man, I'm bleeding too bad from the top to the bottom. I'm gonna have to blow the whistle on these boys. What's going on? And Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui, what they didn't like, in this program in Johannesburg in South Africa, Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui died 2 weeks later, and what he was doing was passing the mantle. This is 3,000 people right there at this lecture. They didn't like that. Did anybody see some of that stuff? Am I lying what I'm saying? No. In fact, I'm not telling you what he said, Imam Musa. This guy here, I forgot he had said all that stuff. And right away, all these boys here, they were there, they were hurting. Why they didn't take it up? Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui died a week later, and with all those hopes and dreams, creating a new global civilization of Islam. We did not forget. No matter how much fitnah and challenges we have to face, we still have the same, the same basic idea, the same hopes and dreams, except updated to modern times. The global strategy of Islam, that means that this is not a nationalist struggle, it's not nationalist liberation, it is a global liberation movement. As-Sabiqun liberation movement is a global liberation movement for the liberation of Islam and for the liberation of the Muslims. Well, I guess that little flyer disappeared, but believe me, no, here it is, it's on the other side. Global strategy of Islam. That means we are not local Negroes. The other things, nobody wants to see an independent Negro. Nobody wants to see an independent Negro. All the Negroes you see, Siraj, Zayd, Shaka, and all, well, he was my friend. Now, if the white man said, don't talk to him, nobody talks to the poor brother. I said, we was homeboys. So who's telling everybody, stay away, Where's all the demonstrations? It'd be 500,000 people downtown. Now it's not 5. What happened? The white man controls, the Zionist controls the movement inside of America and also outside of America. And inside of America, we done piped in and we survived it and we showed everybody you can do it. This is not no fantasy. Everybody have seen it, a step-by-step, 30-year process here in D.C., including the other 10 years in Oakland. We survived it, we thrived it. So what are we doing now? We're showing the people what you can do. We're showing you can be independent. Not only you can be independent, you can take the right path. If it's only 1 or 2, it's going to be pretty scary. It's going to be scary no matter how many people there. At first, don't worry. Boss man is on the way out and everybody with him. Y'all probably don't know. Triangle of Terror. Zionist USA, Zionist State of Israel, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That was a few years ago. That was one before that. But the Triangle of Terror. Anybody with the U.S. can do anything they want. The Saudis bombed and killed Yemenis, isn't that right? They show on TV every day the buses that get blown up, the wedding parties that get blown up, the schools that get blown up, right? The richest country in the Arab world bombing and killing the poorest Arab country in the world with weapons bought from the United States, with satellite images in direction of where the bomb coming from the United States government and the Israelis too, and especially the UK, United Kingdom. That's happening in front of us today. Cholera, disease, pestilence, all over, starvation, like we haven't seen in decades. The old-time famines is back in Yemen. But Saudi Arabia is a friend of America, therefore they can do anything they want. Then they say, well, Iran is there, so we got to, now, got to think about it. Y'all know, what's that Senator Lindsey Graham? Did anybody hear him last night? Good God Almighty. Old Lindsey. Saudi Arabia. Those doggone Saudis, and everybody's in on it, the interviewer. The World Trade Center, saying the same thing we say. The Saudis was in on it from the beginning. Well, you said that before. Time to go for it. 15 of the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. And as a guy in Florida that they spit, the FBI said, leave him alone. The people only people could leave America after 9/11 was Saudi Arabia. Did y'all remember that? And they said, well, is all that in the 28 pages? Something over 28. 28 pages is 500 pages. They only, and the white man, this is last night. That's the reason I had to state this today. I said, man, now y'all remember, I said Saudi Arabia is finished alone. I said Saudi Arabia, I say Iran could go on vacation. Take it easy. This is what I said exactly. So, sorry. And see, when Allah swoop on them, see, when you friends of the white man, all the people down in South America, where you don't read South American history, Honduras, Salvador. Y'all remember 4 nuns being killed in El Salvador? They just made a saint out of a cardinal, what's his name? Just the other day. They just mowed him down. I lived in South America. But I wouldn't go to Central America in those days. You know why? It was too dangerous. I stayed in Colombia, the most dangerous country in the world, and go to Central America, controlled by the U.S. Everybody had to come up here from Salvador 20, 30 years ago, because they're having a rebellion down there, a real rebellion, and the people want to be free, but the U.S. don't want them free, right? So the U.S. give them free reign. You kill all the people you want. Why? Because those are leftist people. Y'all probably haven't heard of Pinochet and down in Chile and, Salvador Allende. I was in, when they had that thing in Chile, just a good socialist government. It was a copper producing country, and they just killed a man. First they tried to drop the price of copper, and it wouldn't hurt nobody, but guess who? Our friend Zambia and Chile, and they survived. So they just killed a man. Salvador Allende. Y'all unearthed, y'all do some research, right? You don't sit there and watch them white folks on the news. If you watch them white folks on the news, you don't know nothing at all. Forget it. Don't try to make no analysis or argue with somebody. That's just what's going on there. They are lying. They always lie. There's thousands of people coming up from Central America. Yeah. Do you know? They mess up so bad, they want to divert attention from what's happening. So they had a CIA agents send somebody up from there. And they say it's Arabs in there. There ain't no Arabs in there. But he got CIA, he'll put in, they got plenty of Arabs in Central America. He'll put 9 or 10 of them in there. Right? Talking about fake news, all of them people is involved. You don't get no truth from none of them about nothing. The only reason we know because we lived through it. We see what happened with us. Oh, everybody got a bomb today, yesterday. You don't know who said that. They might have been self-made bombs. Well, getting close to election. When we got hip to that stuff was, do y'all remember the October surprise? You don't remember that? They're going to have an election. Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan. Jimmy Carter going to win. But these boys here, the Republicans, say you keep them hostages, spies, technically. When did they let the spies go? The day of the inauguration of Ronald Reagan. Karubi, Rafsanjani, and all them bums. Karubi's in the penitentiary now. He's under house arrest. He deserved to be. He was in Vienna talking to the white folks, the Republicans. You keep him, keep the hostages till after the election, we'll treat you right. And they believed the white man. After the white man get elected, Ronald Reagan said, you can't tell nobody. What you gonna tell the people? You made a deal with us, the great Satan? Well, they'll kill you in Iran. The Iranians, those dummies, don't forget now, you got dummies everywhere. Some of our friends in Iran have gone stark, raving mad, believing old Europe. We're going to have a treaty. Then one white man, they never studied no history. General Crook, Geronimo, you all right. Geronimo get on the train, they sent him to Florida. Plains and Arizona Indian, they're going to send to Florida. And they send the Florida Indians, the Seminoles, to Arizona. And ain't nobody paying no attention. This is a good white man. They believe that fool. Another thing, we straighten everybody out. I don't care whether they're Iranians, if they was our friends, and they thought they was going to use us, they might have used other Negroes, but hold it, homeboy. We don't go for that mess. That's why you don't see nobody was with Saudis independent. They don't have their own places, and if they do, they just ring around the rosy. We own our own property. property, we do what we want. If it's 2 people here, we'll go back to the old days. We'll sit here at Jum'ah time and wait for 3 people to get here. It ain't like Shafi's, you gotta have 40 people. We wait for 3 people to get here. If only 1 come, we'll call the adhan, we'll pray Dhuhr prayer before we kiss anybody's behind and know we're gonna have to show up on the day of judgment. So we've done all those things. I'll move the water close. All those things we have already done. We're not planning to do those. We have already faced down the U.S. and the Zionists. Okay. And one other thing, we call it the re-Africanization of the Islamic movement in North America. I guess y'all heard that. And we're not going to spend much time. Re-Africanization of the Islamic movement in North America, de-Israelization of the Islamic movement in North America, balanced space awareness, College of Islamic Movement Studies, Department of Strategic and Islamic Studies. All of those things is what we're doing ourselves. So when we go to Oakland, these are our goals. And the final goal is I talked about the Second Amendment. We want to get this phony now. It ain't going just because you get it. There should be an amendment to the Constitution that the citizen has a right at a certain stage to protect himself from governmental oppression. There's nothing like that in the Constitution. If you get oppressed by the government, you have to go to some civil rights organization. But there should be a threshold in life that when you are oppressed by the government, that the citizen has a right to defend himself from governmental oppression without going through any court or any institute, because the courts is in their hand. It's the same as the Second Amendment, except there's a 32nd Amendment, we'll call it. That a nigger that's getting shot down in the street, that has his community full with drugs, and have a court system that is 100% against him and anybody like him, that it is legal to shoot him down in the street any day of the week, any time of the month. Don't make no difference. So, in our court battles, without saying it, that's one of our goals. Go all the way to the Supreme Court with this stuff. That's what we're going to do. But the real thing is to establish Islamic movement in North America. This is just a publicity stunt to be able to reach the people and tell them what's really going on. In order to do that, you have to do it in legalistic jingoism. Because we didn't tell white folks that the big white man is killing you. They ain't listening. They ain't listening. Well, we know he's a target because we've been a target, so we know when somebody else is a target, right? They're not listening to us in that language. So we have to reach them in another language. We thank you all very much for kind of paying attention. And I'll close with this. This has been, we call it the serial effect and the grand jury effect. One of the biggest things is when you know something and the story is not out. So we had to stall and put up with this for decades in order to, that's why we have, this is what this is. This is our grand jury. You remember our literature? We said, talked about grand jury. They thought we was going to have a phony African movement style where we have a big stadium full of people or at the university, and we call the American government up on trial. a grand jury and we indict the government for oppression and this, that, and another. Well, we didn't do that. You got to remember, when you're fighting, what do you have going for you? They have tattletales everywhere. That don't mean everybody's a tattletale. It just means 97% of people are tattletales. Why? Because the government has power and people cannot resist governmental power. Historically. Well, let's say 95%. We don't, that sounds like we said everybody snitches. Everybody snitches. But as you go along in years, they systematically eliminate the good guys. Systematically eliminate. And then it's a governmental move. They don't know why I'm having bad luck. My cars is on flats. All this is going on. This started happening when I hang around the Muslims. So I'm going to stay away from them Muslims. You don't know what's going on. Pretty soon, you have only the people that they want in check. They're invited to all the big programs. They're on the platform. Are there any revolutionaries on the platform? On the Saudi platform? On ICNA's, any other platform? Not a one, right? So that's what I mean by controlling the environment. Everybody do not know that they don't get a card that say you are a snitch. That's not what I'm talking about. But over the decades, this historical manipulation of the environment, it gets rid of the revolutionaries and it enhances the tattletales. They do it in everything, all the time. Y'all remember rap music, how revolutionary it was? In '89, you know the biggest rap album, Professor Griff's them, Zionist Connection, and Pawns in the Game. Y'all, anybody remember that? Pawns in the Game. Do you know what Pawns in the Game? You know all them conspiracy books. Zionism and all. Zionist Connection was on an album. That's 1989. In 1991, you can't find Professor Griff no more, can you? And what do they bring after that? Hip-hop. Kill that bitch. Shoot that nigga. F you. But bad as language. Nothing, right? No rebellion in it. Who gave us that? That's the same thing they gave us in the dunya. Superfly. Donald Goines. Iceberg Slim. Right? Didn't they give us that in the early 70s? That's what they gave us, all the books and all the literature. And everybody listened to rap all over the world. Everybody listening to the Negroes. Right? So they got to destroy that conscious message. Simple. They don't do it to just rap music. They do it everywhere. If you get to play in a movie, you're going to be a good nigga. Yes, sir. Be a good nigga, then you're going to make you a star. Now, you know if you get out of line, what's going to happen. Right? Everybody knows that. We've survived all of that independently. Now, history going to say there was some bad niggas there. They got to say that because it's true. That we never buckled to the white man. We never buckled to our so-called friends. We never let none of them push us around. Never. None at all. And we're still here and alive. That's the message. When people get that message, they're going to start rattling a little bit. They're going to start wanting to do something. That's the time we're living in. That was our mission for that time. We've done that. Now we're going on to the big station and all of this talk. This is a protection. It's a protection. The white man don't let niggas get out of line. They'll blow you away in 2 seconds. You slip on a banana peel so fast you won't know what's happening. So what you got to do is aim a Sanandi that cracker. Yes, you do. You aim a Sanandi that cracker. You just, oh, we're just putting out a lot of flip-de-flop. And after a few years, everything is on there. Because the first years, we just playing like all this and that. Pretty soon, the word is out. If the dear brother's car go over a cliff or catch the pneumonia, everybody gonna want to know what happened to the brother. And then they're gonna listen to, well, I'm gonna find out what the word said. All the newsletters is on there, right? All the lectures, 25 years of lectures on the internet, well, good 20, and the rest is in reserve. We've done it. The white man is trapped. You just got to use what Allah gives you. You don't follow their way. We Amos and Andy that crap. Yes, we did. Didn't we? Tell the truth. We always make jokes and talk about the white man. Tell the truth. And then you turn on the news and there it is. The world laughing at the white man. And we the only ones that said it, right? You think they're happy about that? Absolutely not. Oh Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. Seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. Seek thy refuge from cowardice and ungodliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful. Keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want of what is besides. Ameen.